Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Turner, a software developer with ActionKit, and I'm going to present on 10 more features every client should use. At last year's ClientCon, I ran a presentation of the same title, drawn largely from my experience as a client. So what were the things that I found useful and impactful? These ranged from quick workflow improvements to larger projects, but they were all centered on impact. Now, if you've done all of these things, great. And if not, you should definitely go back, look at the old slides and do these as well. Last year, I said if you did all of those 10 things, I'd come up with 10 more. So here they are. Like before, I tried to make this a mix of big projects and smaller things that you could tackle today. And this time I'm drawing on lots of support tickets that I've seen and how we can solve common problems that many clients are running into. Let's get started. First off, number one is tag your pages and mailings. Think of tags as movie genres for your pages and mailings. They help to describe in general terms what your pages and mailings are all about. You can apply multiple tags to your pages and mailings, just like a movie can have multiple genres. And tagging your pages and mailings consistently allows you to create reporting based on these tags. When you do reporting based on tags, you can answer questions like, what percentage of my list cares about immigration? What about climate change? What is the overlap between those groups? You can answer questions like, how well do petitions with a corporate target perform compared to petitions with a legislative target? Now, you could probably answer these questions without using tags at all, but if you do have tags, it makes answering these questions so much easier. Now you might be thinking, no way, Shannon, I've got several years of ActionKit history with so many pages and mailings accumulated over the years. It's too late for me. Leave me to my tagless fate. And I say that we don't leave anybody behind. If you use the advanced search and the bulk edit features, you can quickly tag lots of pages and mailings at once. So if you focus on the pages that have the most actions and the mailings with the most recipients, then you're going to be done tagging your pages and mailings in no time. Here also is a link to a blog post that expands on the whole idea of tagging. Before I joined ActionKit as a software developer, I was on the client side, and this is actually how we tagged our pages and mailings, and it made a huge difference to our work. Number two is re-engagement. One of the most common support tickets that we get is how can we improve our mailing deliverability? And one of the best ways that you can do that is with good list practices, removing people from your list who are just not there anymore or aren't reading your emails anymore. You've got to learn to let go because good email addresses go stale eventually. And this person, they're probably never going to open up our emails ever again. Now, if you haven't seen any signs of life, we're talking opens and clicks and actions from a mailing. If you haven't seen any from an email address in about a year, chances are extremely high that you're never going to hear that from that person again. They're gone. They're not going to open, click, or act from your mailings anymore. 1 year is the bare minimum for where you should cut off users and unsubscribe them, the bare minimum. But the industry is moving to stricter cutoffs on this, like 180 days, and you should consider it too. We've also seen some clients do even stricter cutoffs than that. We're talking 90-day cutoffs with a lot of success. Big boosts in open, click, and action rates because they're only mailing to people who are really there and really care. Maybe you're thinking, Shannon, this sounds amazing. I would love to be able to take advantage of having better inbox placement because Gmail and all the others, they're looking at my open and click rates and they think, oh, they sure are popular among the people that they're sending to. I better put this in the important and unread section, not the promotion section. And then maybe you think, Shannon, this sounds like a lot of manual work. I don't know if I have time to manage this. Can't we automate this or something? And if that's what you've been thinking, then I have really good news. Using our re-engagement tool, you can simplify this process. From the Mailings tab, go to List Hygiene, Re-engagement. You'll then land on the overview page where you can see the results of my daily migration process. How many people were newly disengaged? How many people were newly re-engaged? How many of my subscribers are engaged total? And so on. There's even a nice chart that lets you see re-engagement stats over time. The way it works is you define who's considered to be engaged, and we will automatically subscribe or unsubscribe based on those definitions. In this screenshot, I've defined many different ways that someone could be defined as engaged. For one, if they're a new user in the last 60 days, they're engaged. Or if they've opened up a mailing in the last 180 days, they're considered engaged. Or if they've clicked a mailing in the last 180, they're engaged. You get the idea. Bottom line, the re-engagement tool is one of the best ways that you can improve your deliverability and keep your list squeaky clean. So please use it and check out the blog post here for more details on how to do just that. Number 3 is the new ActBlue Sync. So let's for a brief second discuss the legacy ActBlue Sync. This one's for the ActionKit clients who've been around a long time. If you're using the legacy ActBlue Sync, which was developed several years ago, you might have noticed some issues with it. Things like recurring donations being treated as multiple one-time donations. We've got a lot of support tickets about that over the years, and we wanted to fix those problems, but we didn't have control over the integration. So we made our own ActBlue Sync to fix these problems. So all you need to do is to file a support ticket and we'll get you started. What we do is we backfill any of your donations that you already have from ActBlue, and then we deduplicate any that were previously synced to ActionKit from the legacy integration. Many clients are already using the new ActBlue Sync and they love it. Number 4 is always use HTTPS. Browsers are starting to display warnings in the URL bar for sites that are not using HTTPS. Understandably, this can cause concern to your visitors to your site, who they might notice the warnings and think, is the information that I'm putting in not secure? What exactly does that mean? Should I not sign this petition? Should I not make a donation on this site? You don't need to know all of the behind the scenes details about HTTPS, what it is, or how it works in order to know that these warnings undermine trust. On the other hand, security inspires confidence in your organization and your work. ClientCon's ActionKit has the always use HTTPS setting turned on. So even if you try to go to an ActionKit page that starts with HTTP, like the one that's linked on this slide, it'll send you to the HTTPS equivalent. Now, if you don't believe me, click the link, try it out. We can turn on always use HTTPS for you as well. But there's one thing that you need to do first. Make sure all of your images in CSS and JavaScript that you're loading on your ActionKit pages are using HTTPS. So you'll need to look through your template sets to check for this. Here in this screenshot, you can see that even though I'm going to an HTTPS page, my browser tells me that the page is not secure. When I look at the developer tools, it tells me that that's because there's a mixed content warning. What that means is the page itself is secure, but the image is being loaded using HTTP, which is not secure. Hopefully that wasn't too much web developer jargon, but the main idea is go to your pages using HTTPS. If you see any mixed content warnings, replace any links that have HTTP with HTTPS. Then make sure that your pages still load as you expect. Make sure you didn't break any links or images. And once everything looks good and you're ready to make that permanent switch, file a support ticket, let us know, and we'll get you sorted. Number 5 is reviewing staff access. Last year, I implored all of you to enable two-factor authentication as one of the best ways to protect your staff accounts, and by extension, all of your very important and sensitive user data. Your supporters trust you with their data. You should absolutely enable two-factor authentication if you haven't already, and you can make it mandatory. But check out last year's 10 features for more details about that. This time, I want to talk about old logins. You should periodically review all of the accounts that have access to your ActionKit and disable the ones that you aren't using anymore. Something that can make finding old and unused logins much easier is you can now create reports in the Query Builder specifically to look at your staff and user permissions. Here, I've set up a report that lets me review a user's name, email address, when they've last logged in, are they a super user, do they have two-factor authentication enabled, and what permissions do they have. And I've filtered it to only show me active users who can log in to the ActionKit admin. Now I can look through the results of that report and ask myself, who doesn't need access to ActionKit anymore? Simon here hasn't logged into my ActionKit since June 2019. So I'm going to ask him, hey, Simon, do you still need access or can I cut you off? Other things you might be looking for are people who no longer work at your org who you can disable. Just be careful not to disable the admin user, that's us. If you disable that, we're going to have a much harder time helping you during support tickets. And also be careful not to disable any API integrations that you might have, or you might break those integrations until you re-enable that user. So how do you deactivate? In order to disable Simon, I'm going to have to go to the Staff tab, find his username, and on the Permissions section, uncheck the box where it says Active Account. Once I've saved, Simon will no longer be able to log back in. Now, this might seem like a small or simple thing, like, Shannon, why are you including this? It can also be a really important thing to do from a security angle. Number 6 is custom page fields, CSS, and JavaScript. During last year's 10 features presentation, I showed you how to change a submit button text on a page just by using a custom page field. This time, I'm going to show you how to add custom CSS and JavaScript to all of your pages using the same process. We often get support tickets where part of the answer is you need to add some CSS to your page, or you should add some JavaScript to your page. And if you have this in place, it makes that so much easier. A few slides ago in number 4, I told you to go to this link, the HTTP link, if you didn't believe me about the always use HTTPS feature. And if you went there, you'd notice a nice little blurb about how the always use HTTPS feature works and how to enable it. But what you wouldn't see is the sign-up form. Now, that might not seem interesting or noteworthy, but this is a petition page in ActionKit. So where's the form? And the answer is I hid that form using one line of CSS code that I put in the custom page field for this page. Now, there's a little bit of one-time setup that you need to do to create a custom page field so that you can add custom CSS to your pages. From here, we're going to make a custom page field from the Pages tab. You need display name and field type. I also like to add a description, and you can choose to always show it as well. But I think the description is especially useful. And then in your template set, you need to add a few lines of code. Don't worry too much about the code up on the screen. It's not super important for you to look at and understand the code for the 5 seconds that the slide is going to be up. What's more important is for me to highlight this takes 3 lines of code to do, and you're going to add it into your template set's wrapper.html template. With the custom JavaScript custom field page field, it's the same process, but this time it's 5 lines of code instead of 3. Again, not important what these 5 lines of code are, but remember, if you are interested specifically in what these 5 lines of code are. You'll be getting the slides later. But the important thing is you add this to your template set in wrapper.html, and it's a quick and easy one-time setup. And here's a blog post that'll walk you through how to do the custom CSS custom page field. Number 7 is timed sends. One of the most common feature requests we've gotten over the years has been, can we send a mailing to be delivered in the user's time zone? I want this mailing to go to a user's inbox at 9 a.m. their time, wherever in the world they happen to be. So we're happy to report that this feature has been out for a while, and many clients have taken advantage of it. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, here's how it works. If you have sending privileges, check Schedule for Later to expand the options. You'll then see the typical date and time picker, but now there's an option to use user's time zone to say, I'd like to deliver this at 7:30 p.m. in that user's local time. Or if the time has already passed, you can choose a fallback. The confirmation screen will give you a delivery time breakdown showing exactly when you can expect messages to be received, broken out by time zone and delivery time. Number 8 is custom user fields. Custom user fields allow you to save information about a user that isn't covered by the standard fields like name and address and email. Common fields include things like employer and occupation. We've stored things like, did you sign up for ClientCon 2020? Other clients have used things like, are you signed up for a membership program? And at what supporter level? This is especially useful for cases like, were you a donor in 2016? How about in 2017? What about 2018? Those facts aren't going to change now. You either gave in 2016 or you didn't. But running a report on historical donation data can be kind of slow. Running a report on a custom user field that has that pre-calculated data stored in it is very fast. So you can calculate that data once, store it in a custom user field, and then access it by the custom user field very quickly. You can also target your mailings based on what's in these custom user fields. For example, I'm sending this mailing to everyone who's a member at the sustainer level. You may have noticed on the import screen is a new option to upload custom user fields very fast. We added this to help if you're uploading just users and just custom user fields and nothing else. You don't want to record an action, you're not trying to change in any other details like your address or anything. It's just about those custom user fields. This option here makes your uploads go lightning fast, which can be really useful if you're doing daily imports of large numbers of users. Ultimately, what you do with custom user fields is up to you, but I've seen a lot of really creative things clients have done with these, and if you do something creative, I'd love to see it. Number 9 is cross-site prefill. This here is a regular old petition page, nothing special about it. And this is that same petition page, but with cross-site prefill enabled. When I visit this page, it recognizes who I am, and it pre-fills my contact information into the form fields. This could make it even easier for your users to take action and improve your action rates. Some behind-the-scenes details of how it works. Uses a shared pool of profiles, so the more clients who enable prefill, the more users it will recognize. And I do want to mention that this is an entirely separate feature from the ActionKit user recognition that you have already seen, where it says, not Shannon, click here. That's totally different. It's not that, it's separate. This is for users who have not taken action with you before and you don't have an AKID for them. And one other thing is you don't have to worry about GDPR with this, because if the user indicates that they're in a privacy record country, then we don't save any prefill data. So if you're sold and you want to enable cross-site prefill for your organization, from the Pages tab, go to Prefill Settings in the sidebar. On that page, on the next page is a button that will enable prefill for your site. We're also planning to do this for one-click donations as well, so stay tuned for that announcement. Number 10 is stopping spam with Recaptcha. We frequently get support tickets about spammers who are adding lots of bad email addresses to your list, and you should unsubscribe those users. But what's to stop spammers from just resubscribing them again? The Recaptcha feature is one of our best ways to stop spammers, and happily is also very easy to set up. All you need to do is to set the Recaptcha enabled custom page field to enabled. The overwhelming majority of your users will be able to sign your petitions and take action normally without noticing anything different. But if someone looks suspiciously like a bot, they will be challenged to complete a Recaptcha test like we see here. Can they, a mere bot, identify the bus? In all seriousness, Google is in the business of detecting fraudulent clicks, and their Recaptcha tool is very good at identifying bots. If they cannot pass, let me back up. If they do pass the challenge, they are a real person and their action is processed. If they fail the challenge, they can try again. But if they cannot pass, we do not process the action and they do not get added to your list. If you're just trying to protect a page that's hosted on ActionKit, congratulations, you're already done because the custom page field is all you need. But if you're trying to protect an ActionKit page that's hosted on another site, there's a super quick one-time setup that you need to do. And if it's for a sign-up form that's embedded on your homepage, say, there's a few more things that you need to do to make sure that you have in place for everything to work. But overall, it's pretty straightforward and easy. And if you do these 10 things, then next year I'll put together another list of 10 features. And if you're sticking around, then these suggestions go to 11. This one's a bonus. And I'm going to show you how to add a logo to the top of your ActionKit. So at the top of every page in the ActionKit admin, we will show your organization's logo unless you don't have a logo, in which we just say your organization's name very exuberantly, ClientCon. Let's take a look at how to add a logo. Using the gear menu in the upper right-hand side, go to Configure ActionKit and then Edit the admin site display. If you don't see it, you don't have access, and you may want to ask someone else in your organization who do have access, like a super user. Then you're going to add an image URL for an image that you've previously uploaded to your media library. You can play with the image sizes to see what works best for you. This image that works well for me is 340 pixels wide by 100 pixels tall and centered, but you should try different image sizes to see what works for you. So I know all of this was a really quick lightning overview of everything. So I collected a bunch of resources that we have, blog posts and videos, documentation, how-tos, tutorials, all of that to help you set up all 10 of these things. So thank you, everybody, and hope you had a great ClientCon.